people that will be there for security, number one. Number two, do we have a sworn officer, arrangement for a sworn officer to be on the premises?
And I believe no and no, John, and I agree 100% after this weekend's events, that I want to bring up that we maybe look at one of two options, or both. One would be setting a limit for the amount of permits that we allow for carnivals in the city on an annual, seasonal basis, so that they're not just bouncing around and then thereby taking all of the same people from place to place. I'll just see you next week over here kind of concept.
Can we do that?
And-
Can we limit it?
We could not allow them.
Don't we have
Yeah,
dogs
for
over?
sure.
Don't we have dogs
We
over?
limit one at a time.
And most
now.
of
We limit one at a time now.
Okay, don't we have dogs over at most of them?
I don't know, and I don't know if that's the case. I know
We have
that.
We notify, I notify the police, fire, and I get a letter back from, which was included from Mary. from-
Right, and I know Wade shows
That they're
that,
aware of
that
it.
did the, runs the one at Gibraltar, previously had been paying officers to work off duty. They were in uniform, which I don't know necessarily how that ultimately works, because
Should be in
we still have a
uniform.
liability concept when they're paying for them.
But it looks better if they're in uniform.
Picking up an overtime rate. But again, I think the second part of that would be us to set something within the ordinance and the permit process that requires them to have to demonstrate and have security on site. Not ours, not us, because when they're flying down the road and you've got 6 cars coming from Taylor, you've got 3 cars, 4 cars, 5 cars coming from mutual aid to that, because you don't know, the reports are, the extent's way outside of what our loan department can handle. You've just emptied your entire streets. You've got no coverage anywhere else in the city. So, I think they need to be addressed in that. Obviously with different carnivals, they're all handled different in where they are. But you all know, you've walked around, and some of you have even greater experience in past lives.
Okay, but when will we start then? I guess the question is, do we start with this one? Do we set a deadline?
I think we have to.
Is it too late to get with this? I mean, should we?
With this permit, yes. I mean, I think that we would have to change the ordinance or the permit process, the ordinance, and incorporate that into, so when the next group comes to apply,
I said so.
we're getting that with.
And they would know beforehand.
Mhm.
That's all I was saying, to make sure that's
So
fair.
can PD or somebody start working on some language for some ordinance on
Yeah,
that?
we'll give Mr. Martin that.
Okay, and so I'm gonna go, do you need any questions on the ballot item?
Just wait, point. The idea of having a certain number of security people is okay. But without a sworn officer there, we have nobody that has any real authority to do anything more than say, hey, break it up. The sworn officer says, makes the decision that this is something that has to be stopped, or the person can be arrested.
Well, John,
The security can't arrest.
I would think that under this, we'll get clarification from legal, obviously, but I would think under this situation, once they rent that space and they pulled a permit, it's private property and they're private operation, so they would have a right to detain, just like if you walked in the Southland Mall and stole something, you would have a right to detain that person until police officers arrive.
Supposedly, there were a half a dozen or so security people at the event this past weekend. And obviously, they didn't do much detaining, they didn't do much breaking up either.
And then maybe we have to define security versus, the guys coming out from behind the
We need someone, as you said, they need to have someone there to find that, you need someone there that can at least minimum detain people, so our officers get there, whoever that person
I'm all
may
for
be.
limiting the carnivals, because it just is.
Well, we do
it's the
one,
kind of thing that
right,
needs to
one at a
go.
time?
It's one at a time,
But
but
like-
like 2 people, but there's not, I don't think there's anything that says you can only have 2 per summer. I think
Oh,
it's
but how,
one
but how
at a
do you
time.
decide which
That's it.
group
You
gets
have
to
a,
make the money?
lottery.
What, you have only churches get it, you have only Little League get it, I mean,
Right.
you're gonna get into, that's all I'm saying. You'll have to figure out how you're going to decide who gets it.
And then there may be a point, maybe we have PD weigh in on it, because my guess would be, what you get at St. John's, I think, was that one? What you get at St. John's and what you get at, as far as
Gibraltar.
Gibraltar, from the people that are gonna come, because you probably get a lot more of St. John's base, you know, their own tuition that come to it because it's also, you know,
And that's what we
fundraising for
can
them.
consider
to
too,
a
maybe.
extent. Versus you don't know, who- you're getting them from all of Down River
Yeah,
potentially.
we're only doing it for our own organizations. I mean, I don't know that we have to come up with something that would be legal. That's all I'm saying, something.
Oh,
Setting up or doing away with it.
so
just
next
say
is the
out
police
people.
honor guard training, unless anybody has a question